Aloha, friends, and welcome to Brother Owl's Garden. I have a really special guest here tonight, and I'm very honored and pleased to welcome him. His name is Marcus Aurelius Higgs. What a great name. And we met, a couple, 3 years ago. And finally, here we are availing the platform to Marcus, which is my great honor. Uh, Marcus has a wonderful past and a wonderful present and a wonderful future. He is a wordsmith. He is a teacher. He is an author. He has missionary experience. He has teaching experience, and he has a great passion for words. And with that in mind, I welcome my friend, Marcus Aurelius Higgs. Welcome.
Brian, Brother Al, thank you. Thank you.
It's
Thank
so
you for
great to
having me.
have you. It's so
To
great
be
to have
here.
you at last. I remember I invited you quite a while ago, but now is the right time. The flow is now, and here you are.
All things happen in the right time. And I've been meaning to come on. And you said, hey, now that you have what you have, like, will you come on to share? I was like, Brian, I've been expecting to come on long before that.
Yeah. Well, all things in divine flow, and this is your moment. Thank you for coming and sharing with uh, our viewers. In fact, both of them. um, you
All
know,
four of us will have a wonderful
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. And stay with us to the end, guys, because we have a lot of good stuff that we'll unrehearsedly end up covering. Um, I've done some topics that were, what I call dark and scary but necessary, and then I've done some that were just inspiring and invigorating, and you leave feeling really good. I've covered the whole spectrum because it's very important for me personally to be authentic and to cover and address not just my own personal experiences, but what I see in the collective and in the world around us. And so, we live in challenging times. It can't be denied, but there's always the light. There's always something that we can turn away from the despairing things and look toward the uplifting things. And that's where I'd like to ask you to step forward and let us know a little bit about what might inspire and uplift us in these very challenging times.
Boom. Um, you know, well, as you said, I'm a wordsmith, and uh, there's the idea. Well, Paulo Coelho wrote it, but then it came from H.M. Murray when he said, when you inspire, the whole universe will conspire with you, for more or less. So the quote was, and I feel there is life, and what life needs is to be invigorated. It doesn't need to be, but I mean that's what the whole idea is. It expands and it grows, and it needs to be breathed into. That's where we get breath of life, spiritus, inspire. And that's what I want to do with my words. That's what I want to create. Because the question is, what do you want to create? And something is birthed through you, as you mentioned before. You're just the conduit to it as you tap into it. And this is, my words are what I have to offer. Interestingly, when I was 16 years old, we act from our identity, or if you want to say you're an avatar for something greater, but it's your identity of what you are. And there was a poem I wrote, it's called I Am. And I came into this realization after I'd walked my journey, and I'm still walking it, right? But I reflected on what I wrote. And let me tell you the beginning of this poem. So as you mentioned, I grew up a sincere Christian, no animosity towards the church, yet my worldviews have changed. And it's inclusive of what that was. But the beginning of the poem goes, I am a messenger, sanctified to speak with a divine voice and know it was not of my own choice, rather God's will be done, because I am part of a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a special person used to proclaim the praise of him who called me out of darkness into the marvelous light. You see, I am the mic, and the Lord is my controller. So every time I step center stage, I'm representing for Jehovah with the Holy Spirit in the middle of my existence, reminding me I am blessed because of a gift that was heaven sent. See, I'm speaking of the Word, the Messiah, the Christ, who provided me with a new way to write. A new way to love, a new way to live. So I love to give him my life, lyric, and pen because he is the Holy One. He is the only Son. He is why I'm breathing. He is why my life has so much meaning, and I am starting to see. This is the whole duty of man, to stand up and proclaim the praise of the one who claimed the highest name and told Moses, I am that I am. So of his love I will always write, and if you ask why, it's because I am. Made in his image, and although the race has fallen, still he is risen. So still I rise with Christ by my side, not ashamed of the gospel to say, Jesus walks with me. So Lord, let me talk with you before I write. Let me remember my pen moves in vain if it's not used to praise your name. If ink is not guided by your hands, my stanzas are worthless. If the verse does not speak of you, if they do not speak of your truth, my sentences hold no significance. So Lord, let the meditations of my heart and the words of which I write be acceptable in thy sight, because in the end I am nothing without you in my life. Boom. The thing is, would you like to respond? Yeah, I'm ready to go on, but I want to. This is a
No.
conversation.
I have to make a
Let's make space
sound
for it.
so that the Zoom will show my face, but my proper response is a bedazzled giant grin of bliss. I have never heard your work like that. And what you
Mm,
just dropped is enough for its own episode of its own accord right there. You know what?
what's that?
What you just dropped was absolute divine flow. And it was like a trilogy, or I better say a trinity, of a Baptist revivalist preacher and a Greenwich Village beatnik poetry reading,
uh-huh. Howl meets hallelujah.
mixed in with a modern day
A little
urban
funkin'
prophet.
some
I
rap,
don't know what to say.
hip
You,
hop.
it was a tapestry of three amazing elements that came together, and I will tell you that I very much appreciated your pauses and
Mm.
emphasis on certain. I got it.
Cause and
You
effect.
carried me around the loop with each one, and I
it's
bravo.
it's the divine expression through your unique who you are, right?
Well, that's what
Um,
you were saying. You express through your identity, meaning. Can I put my own spin on what that means?
please, it's here in the middle. What's
All
up?
right. The universal all
Mm.
expressing as the local me.
Yes,
Small
yes.
self expressing the capital S self. Boom. And that's what it's all about. And I've referenced that a lot of times, but I never said it quite the way you just said it. So, everybody has their own way of wordsmithing, don't they?
Two things come to mind. Oh man, Campbell, there's no greater privilege than to be who you are.
Yeah,
Now, that said, there is the localized, seemingly separated self. Yes, be that, be that, be that. Then also realize you are part of the collective. Be that, understand that, and be that. And how do you hold those two concepts, ideas? You hold it, you hold the balance. And that's what it is. That's what the shared human and spiritual experience is.
absolutely. To put a little bit of a possibly a Vedic spin on it, you are
You can
that
do it.
being
Mhm.
this.
Yeah, yeah,
And you know
yeah.
what? We're all still that. As the Sanskrit says, tat. That's where we get the word that. Tat.
Mm,
I am that. And
mhm,
even to say that is a step away from the I am, and even the I is a step away from am. you
mm,
know.
mm.
But yeah, I would have preferred to just respond with a big blissful grin, but then you wouldn't see my face because I have it on speed.
We
Show
need
the
to hear
speed.
you.
So yeah.
We need to see you and hear you.
Yeah, well, I mean, they wouldn't see my big grin if I didn't make a sound because I've got it where it's
Yeah,
only.
I got you. I got you.
But
The
that
thing
was
is,
absolutely fantastic. Now, Marcus, in my opinion,
what's your opinion, Brian?
I think a way that you could uh, condense and congeal and materialize this gift that is coming through you. And now I'll give you a little bit of my poetry.
Talk
We
to
are
me.
gifted the gift of gifting the gifts we've been gifted. All right. So I think that what needs to be born through you is a really good book. How's that strike you?
I mean,
Well, looky here. Tell us about it.
inspire life through words of well-being. If you notice part here, this is actually the only physical copy I have right now. There's a proof, but it says personal meditations and poetry to find balance and inner peace. The reason I named it that, so I am named after Marcus Aurelius, right? The last of the 5 great Roman emperors, a Stoic, and he is known for his meditations or thoughts with oneself himself. These are poems that I wrote for myself, to myself, about myself. But looking at the audience of one, collective consciousness, it says where I find equanimity, to find balance, and inner peace, the idea of the inner citadel, what we practice in Stoicism, meaning nothing can enter or exit that is not within my control and not that I allow. And that's what these poems are about. Yet, let's see, in the beginning was the word.
I was going to say it.
It says, since I've been a teen, I've written poetry to help me process my thoughts and emotions, organize ideas, create spaces where I can reflect, witness, and affirm myself. All of this is, it's talking to myself in a sense. This is talking to myself. This Stoic practice has been my regular habit long before I was introduced to this ancient exercise. And words for me are just the arrangements of vibrations. Here's another thought. You'd really appreciate this. Archimedes, I believe it was him, said, give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, and I will move the world.
Yeah.
And that's not woo-woo talk, that's science.
Well, no, I
I
could
just need
relate to that doing some recent
the heavy
stonework
lifting you
in my
did.
past. Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually remember that quote during that time. Thought of it. Yeah.
I've seen your handiwork,
Yeah.
literally. Now that said, my gift is words, and thinking about instruments, I was just like, give me the right arrangement of vibrations that resonates with the soul, so I'm speaking to your divine, and the world will move itself. That's why I'm trying to breathe life into people with my words. Not even my words, just to be the conduit of it, of that identity piece that starts off, I am a messenger, sanctified, meaning separated, to speak, sanctified to speak with a higher voice and know it was not of my own choice. I didn't choose this, but God's will be done.
Not my exactly, not my will, but thine be done. I did not come to do my will, but the work of the Father from whom I came.
Yes.
Yeah, it's yeah, there you go. And this relates to anybody on their spiritual path, regardless of what tradition they may adhere to or come from or be heading towards. These are universal spiritual truths that are differentiated through our subjective nature in this small s self localized being this. But always remember that all of it is beyond all of that.
All of it is beyond all of that. Yeah.
You definitely are in the spirit of a modern day prophet in the way these words, I shouldn't even call them words, in the way these concepts and realizations flow through you to all who will receive them.
I mean, if to say I've been born to a certain order, we've all of it is cyclical. So we've been here before, and those who've walked before me in the same stead, I just got to lean into it, and I believe the vibration of the planet is rising, and you play your part as wholly as you can while you're here. Here's another
holy in both spellings of the word, by the way.
yes, in the fullness of it, and in the divineness of it. There's this line by Emerson within Self-Reliance. He says, God will not have his work made manifest by cowards. And when you shift that into the affirmative, it's I say it as the divine will not have itself made manifest, which is 3 layers of work, of effort. Effort means ex, meaning outward, fort meaning a force, of pushing out. expression. That's what it is. To have something done means you are the owner of it, but somebody is working in your stead. So will have its himself made manifest. And it says by cowards, which means like this, but I think of the courageous. Courage comes from your heart. So I say the divine will have itself made manifest by those who are courageous. So it means just to step out boldly,
Absolutely.
be yourself.
Absolutely. And the most famous Chinese social philosopher, Confucius, he always presented his proverbs and adages in the negative as well. Do not have friends not equal to yourself. In other words, hang out with people that are at least on the level of consciousness and goodness that you are, and preferably better. But what he said is, do not have friends who are not equal to yourself. That's just one example of hundreds from him. And
Sure.
it was just the style. But yeah, it's actually a psychological fact that when you flip something into the positive form, it makes more of a mental impact and people remember it more clearly. For example, don't forget your lunch is not as powerful as remember your lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone gave me a jewel about like last month. Alan, his name is. And speaking about positive and negative, we get caught up on that, right? Not when I say get caught up, however those words resonate with you. But he said, one perspective I have is they're words that give energy and they're words that deplete energy. And oftentimes what we call negative words, or what I view as negative words, are words that drain my energy. And it's just like, look, if I'm trying to live an invigorated life, to move towards this spot, this action, trying to express, to create this in the world, understanding what I want to be brought into or what I want to be in the flow of being brought into the world, I have to speak energy. I have to speak life. That's what it is.
Well, I hate when I always forget the exact name of the person, but your word is your wand. Your word is your wand.
No, your word is your bond. Your word is your wand. I like that. Yeah. And that's what the second agreement. Yeah, let there be no.
Let me get her name. Your word is your wand. This is from the 1920s. A woman named Florence Scovel Shinn.
So Florence Shinn. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, I just sometimes I go blank with people's names, but I don't forget that nugget, that wisdom.
Sure.
And I remember that part. So and that's what you are graciously bedazzling our path with here today, with these wonderful gems and nuggets of wisdom that you've picked up from your own experience. And here's a little observation I want to make. I have a feeling your book is going to sell well because of how many people are going to search Marcus Aurelius looking for meditations.
And meditations.
Yeah, and you're just going to pop up next to it, but you're not being inauthentic or you're not hijacking anything in any way. This is your name, and that is the title of your book, and it is Personal Meditations for Inner Peace.
And I was looking for something right before I came on with you. So please bear with me.
I am bearing. While we're waiting, I'll let people know that Marcus was born in California, but spent much of his younger life in the Bahamas, which I think is pretty cool too.
Yeah. My father's from the Bahamas. My mother's from the Philippines. Got the island in both sides.
There you go.
So I read this religiously every morning. I don't think people should lead with "I am a Stoic." Rather, it should be evident in your life. But I do practice Stoicism as my understanding and expression of it, as is the philosophy was practiced. But a long time, not a long time. I have to live on a name. There are great expectations when you're given a great name.
I understand. I often say to my friend Bob that I think that we either assented or chose our names. At least we assented to it before we got here. And I very much believe that everyone should find out the meaning of
Yeah.
their name and if they resonate with it. And may we live up to that meaning. I've referenced that in a couple of my
Mm.
videos for my name as well. I get it, Marcus. Totally get it. Go on.
You're good. You're good. And I would not shy away, but I'm an introspective person now anyhow. But then knowing that when people would know my name, then it's just like, oh yeah, you're this, you're this, you're this. I'm like, in a sense, yes, but then also in a sense, it's like I'm just trying to be. I'm just trying to be. And I wrote a poem about it. Um, I wrote a poem about a lot of things, but
No doubt, no doubt.
oh, you know what? I'll come back to it.
I will tell
And
you this, Marcus. I I mean, I'm learning a lot about you just through this conversation because we
mhm.
haven't done a lot of hanging out and anything. In full disclosure here, we
Yeah,
met,
yeah.
a connection was set, but a lot of time the whole COVID stuff and all that went on, and we don't live in the same cities and stuff like that. We are both living here in Thailand at the moment, but we don't.
I met you at the beginning of a weekend, and there was a nice hangout connection. We got to walk around different a farmstead and what your
Yeah,
project you're working on. So we had deep conversation. There was a connection, most
yeah,
def.
that foundation took. And
Mm.
when I lived in that previous place, I met, oh, dozens and dozens and dozens of people. But every now and again, boom, I'd see the light in one of them, and you were one of them. And there were a handful, maybe three or four, and you were one of them. So we have that connection. But what I wanted to say is I've recommended, especially to men, but to everybody, but a little more enthusiastically to men, but again, to everybody. If you don't know where to start, if you just don't know where you are and you're not making sense of who, what, why, how, when, where, blah, start with, my recommendation is Stoicism and Taoism. And I'm
Mm.
not talking about peripheral stuff. I'm talking about the core of Stoicism and the core of Taoism, the Tao Te Ching and the meditations and the other Marcus Aurelius books about Stoicism,
Intelligent.
and not only him, the other Stoic philosophers,
Epictetus
because I
and
think that,
Seneca.
yeah,
Mhm.
Stoicism is a really, really advanced, wise, philosophical perspective on life to cultivate. And for the more mystical, profound, even deeper stuff that science can't really touch and philosophy sort of um, dabbles in, but you want to go deeper, then you want to go into the Tao Te Ching. And
Mm.
that's, and it's not the only thing you could do, but it's a really good start. So if you're ever just like, I'm completely lost, I don't know how to make sense of things anymore, those, in my opinion,
Mhm.
are two very solid pillars to build upon. And so
Mm.
I think it's great how you not only bear the namesake of Marcus Aurelius. By the way, in my paternal lineage, the name Aurelio has always, the other one is Francisco. Francisco and Aurelio, they have always had. But anyway, you not only bear that name, you do a very earnest and diligent, consistent effort to live the reverence of that name. And for that,
I
I've earned even more respect from
well,
me.
it's as if it's. I got the name. My father was driving to Riverside General Hospital, and he was listening to something. I believe it was actually Jim Rohn. My father used to listen to those tapes, and there is one part where he's talking about responsibility and speaks about Marcus Aurelius. And he heard a quote, and he said, "I'm going to name my son Marcus Aurelius." And I had to bear that name. And I always joke with him. I said, it's like a boy named Sue, and that he knew his father knew he'd have to fight had he been given that name. And my father, not knowing the full extent of the name, it's just like that's what actually drew me to the philosophy. I grew up spiritually minded, just as Marcus Aurelius was, 12-year-old wearing a burlap sack, sleeping on the floor to experience hardship. And it just, as I was growing up, practicing again sincerely Christianity, and then seeing not discrepancies, but I'm just like, there's something more here that I'm not getting. I did find Marcus Aurelius, in alignment with nature and just what he was saying. I'm just like, wait, that resonates.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna lead into this.
But you know what, Marcus? Look at the bright side.
It's all right.
Look,
What's up?
look at how many Latino men are named Jesus.
Mm.
How can you possibly live up to this name? So at least you were not named Jesus. That would have been exponentially more burdensome to live up to. But
Hey, you're right. You're right. Could be better. Could be worse.
You honor your namesake, Marcus.
Day by day. Day by day. Well, okay. So this poem is called "Why Marcus Reflected and Revealed His Greatness to Himself." Not for the fortune nor for the fame, not for the crowd to call out his name. Rather, he strived to reflect on and reveal the greatness of who he was to himself with the breath that he had that day, so that in ages to come, after he was done and long gone, and only an fading echo of his simple story remained. I, the future audience of one, might see the awesomeness within me, standing on a name, on shoulders, and know that I too am invited by the infinite flow of life to express my innate greatness from within without constraint. And that's why I think in the flow of time, where you are, who you are, here's a book that I'm writing and planning to finish well in the future. It's called "A Classic is Made in the Moment," or this is a tag: "A classic is made in the moment, yet realized in retrospect."
Bam. There you go. And
Marcus,
while you quote that, give me 1 second to
hey,
let the cat Lotus in through the window.
do you? Gotta let the Lotus in.
Go ahead, Marcus.
For the other two in the audience that are here with us, it's like Steve Jobs said, the dots connect themselves when you look back. And this is what I try to share with the teens that I teach, as I am a teacher as well. The idea is you're in it in the moment, doing what you know to be right in earnest.
Yeah.
When you look back at it, nobody is ever trying to make a classic. Rather, you're being authentic in the moment. And in retrospect, you look back and you're like, there was an inflection of a time and space and context that was just right. That's just like with Martin Luther King's speech. It met the time and the age of where it was. That's just like with To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, the
Time
spirit of the
on.
age.
The story of the age? The what of the age?
The spirit of the age.
Yes.
He was
Tapping
the
into the
voice
zeitgeist
of
at the
spirit.
moment.
And there's another guy carrying another namesake, Martin Luther.
Yes.
You know,
His
so,
name was Michael something else, but they changed it.
oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. But yeah, there's another namesake being carried. But yeah, the spirit of the times. Eric von Daniken, if you happen to know who he is, deals with
No.
ancient alien archaeology kind of topics. Paul Wallace,
Okay.
Michael Tellinger, that lot, who I'm very interested in. He's the one that first made that phrase stick in my head. He talked about the spirit of the times, the spirit of the times. And I'm like, yeah, the spirit of the times. And once that phrase stuck, I started to be able to see through the lens of the spirit of our time. And it makes things a little more able to be understood. Doesn't mean I like it, but I can understand it through a macro view a little better when I look at it through what is the spirit of our times, you know, as the collective, as humanity and everything. So yeah.
You know, one thing that we teach in communication, that's my background. It's
You don't say.
no, there's no meaning without context.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, what birthed this was the context of what we're in. Now that said, there's also a little short thing that I wrote that said, if you reflect on the beauty that was before this, it has brought us to this moment. That means within this moment is still the same beauty and possibility that can come from this.
Well, you know, Marcus, that makes me think of, you know, we've all heard the expression, it's never too late to start. You always have a second chance, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
We had a little pre recording chat where I was talking about a certain portion of my life in which I very earnestly sought a marked vertical spiritual improvement and ascension and awakening and realization and all that stuff. And I
Sure.
got it, but not in
Not as you
any way.
expected.
Yeah, not, I planned, God laughs. I did get it, and I'm very glad I
Sure.
got it, but it was very, very hard because it was
Mm.
good. It was worth it.
Mhm.
And it came to me in a way completely different. But I think I'm losing my train of thought now, but we're always ready at each moment. It's never too late, so to speak. If you're sensing that you're not in alignment, you're not in attunement with your truest, highest, fullest, and I will always add purest, because that's very important, purest being. You always have at your disposal and at your ability to access immediate grace, we can
Boom.
call it. You can immediately make a conscious, willful move towards it and enter into that flow. That option is perpetually available to you, at least while we're here, manifest on this planet, okay? To the very least. Some would say beyond that too. But for anyone that is struggling, suffering, grappling, all that, you can turn even 1 degree, if that's all you could muster, towards a different reality flowing through you and creating through you and you experiencing through that. It's
Sure.
always accessible in each breath.
To start again, yes. And if to give it another perspective or another metaphor, it's and that's why I say the divine was born with you. And again, there's a bigger philosophical question of original sin or so on. But if it is with you from birth, then it is with you regardless of whatever story you might tell yourself and fractured story you might feel, to bring yourself back to understanding that.
I
Yeah.
would go even a little harder than that, and I'd say there's
Yeah.
no such thing as not with you and you not with it.
Yeah. No,
And
that's what I mean.
yeah,
Like it is with you continually. Our attention is pulled away from it. That's why it
yep,
at the end of all of this work, I mean, know thyself and you will understand the secrets of gods and men. That's what it is. To know yourself and then to affirm or appreciate, to find value in yourself. Yeah.
absolutely. And what I love about Stoicism is it's relentless self-responsibility. It's
Okay.
you. It's you. You're doing it. It's all on you, and it all is up to you, and you are controlling how you are experiencing this life. I
Yep.
don't believe we control literally everything that happens. No way, but we are responsible for the lion's share of creating our experiences within it.
Let me ask you this, because I always love to hear other thought leaders. So in Stoicism, the Enchiridion, first Epictetus says, control what you can control the controllables, in a sense. I think there are only three things you control. This is in story narrative. I think this is actually a motif throughout all life. It's where your attention is, your focus, right? The second thing you control is your perception, the story, the belief that you say about what you're focusing on. And the third thing is, what do you think the third thing is?
The third thing, what?
The third thing that you can control. I believe there are only three things you can control: your focus, your perception, and
I would say your response.
your action. Yes, that's what it is. How you choose to respond to that story.
Yeah. But I would also be like before when I said I would lean in a little harder on that with the self-responsibility thing. In
Mhm.
this, Marcus, I have come to the realization in the recent past that I put a little bit of a limit on that. What I mean is
Mhm.
you are responsible for your responses, et cetera, within the capacity, within your own personal capacity, which does vary by individual. And some people
Yeah.
are coming from a more wounded place a more ignorant place, a more selfish place, a more unaware, unwilling, whatever. But within your personal capacity, some pickup trucks can carry a half ton, some can
Yeah,
carry
yeah,
20 tons, not pickups, but trucks.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what is your capacity? And we
That comes with self-awareness. Yeah.
yeah, and we fall constantly, but as the
Hmm.
Japanese
Hmm.
proverb says, fall 7 times, get up 8. Um, Yesterday, I lost my temper at my cats because I was actually recording. I don't have to tell people this. Why did I get into this? Well, I was recording an episode, and sometimes it's not the first take, and my cats just jumped all over my laptop and were swatting at the power cord and the internet cable and everything else, and like they ruined my video, and I was like, get out of here, get out. And they freaked out because they don't see me, like I don't get that way with them. But
Mm.
then I said, okay, I need to let them decompress as I decompress. And then I went into the other room and I let them know gently and with the way I
Need a repair.
the tone. And I went in, and as Stuart Smalley would say, I owe you an amends, and that's okay. So I went in and I made an amends. I'm not gonna beat
Mm.
myself up for beating myself up. No more stinking thinking. All right, there's my Stuart Smalley. But anyway, I felt horrendously toxically polluted for what I had
Mm.
done. I had momentarily lost myself, lost my connection and my balance. And I
Sure.
projected it out at them because they did upset me,
Sure.
because I was
Hmm.
well along in the video and I had to can it. And but what was much more important was I can do that again. I can regain my composure. I have that opportunity at each breath to reset, start right now. And so I did. And I felt so much better when I went in. Animal lovers will get this. People who have no affinity with animals will call me a whack job. And I don't care.
Not just the non-animal lovers. Go on with your
Yeah, but I,
thought.
I I went in to them and I genuinely wholeheartedly apologized
Apologize.
individually.
Yeah.
There was 3 of them, and I said I'm so sorry. I momentarily lost myself and I projected out at you and I scared you, and it wasn't that serious. It was just that I momentarily went above my capacity. I
Hmm.
overflowed and I lost it, and I apologized, and I did an energy release on them so that none of that trauma would be stored in them. And then I asked them forgiveness, and as soon as I put my hand on them, they were purring, and that is forgiveness
Mm.
from a cat.
Sure.
And so there's my little animal story. But the point is that we have limits. We're not
Mhm.
levitating Buddhas necessarily,
Mm.
and the good news is that when we do spill over or mess up, we can
There.
pause,
No
take
pun
a breath,
intended. Yeah.
reconnect, and reset that moment.
Yes. Pause.
Tell us something more from your book. Give us one of your most dazzling quotes that will further inspire us. And then we're going to tell people about when the book will become available and how they can get it. And I
Boom.
think that you've demonstrated so far what a luminous and wonderful soul that you are, Marcus, already. So
Just the conduit. Um.
a good one, though. That matters.
Boom. Yeah. Gotta let it flow. It's okay. So this one is called "So Much Beauty in This Universe." Except you see how the universe is spelled.
Oh, with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to get creative writing.
There you go.
Okay. Do you ever stand in awe, blessed to bear witness to the natural artistry found around you in the simple things you see? For instance, take something as plain as a tree. The way it sways, reaches, and waves its hands branched out to the vibes like hippies with raised green leaves and praise to an unbroken blue sky with nothing but gratitude for being alive. And you're like, it's just a freaking tree, man. As a Cheech and Chong reference. And no, I didn't roll any up. It's just there's so much beauty in the universe if you choose to see it. You can meet it in the everyday, in the ordinary, the commonplace, in something as regular as a sunset. You've experienced it 1,000 times, yet you always still smile to openly receive the warmth and radiant beams as it literally, Brian, literally reaches across time and space just to embrace your cheek with the blessings of a celestial kiss placed upon your face. What I'm saying is there is so much beauty in this universe if you choose to see it. Now realize you, yes, you, and the other two who are watching this, you are the universe experiencing itself. And similar to the praises whispered in the spaces between the leaves or the glow of heavenly bodies setting, forming glorious phrases of watercolored skylines, each day, all of creation finds a new way to say, there is so much beauty in you if you choose to see it. It says you are the expression never authored before. You are the audience and the artist all in the same. You are part of the foundation even before you received a name. Before your awareness of what it even means to be here, all of this was already waiting for itself to appear as you. That's why everything that grows already knows the signature of your soul. All of nature recognizes your worthiness as a pre-existing condition. All of this understands your unique ability and the purpose of your being, all of which is leading back to your fullness and the joy of life. You are the masterpiece of which all the universe writes. And just as deserving as the innumerable sea of stars and countless forests filled with trees, you have every right and reason to be. You exist for a moment such as this, for the cosmos to stand in awe and bear witness to your magnificence. And if you don't hold my point of view, that's cool. Because regardless of what you believe is true, the universe is experiencing itself. And I will always choose to see the beauty in you. The word is love. Spread the word.
Marcus, magnificent. If you choose to see it.
There, it's there.
And
It
also,
was there before your awareness was brought to it.
yeah, and also you can be it. You are it. You have a little bit of a Vedic reference in there. I like that.
Up to
I like
me.
the Vedas spilling into stuff because
With the Cheech and Chong, with the Cheech and Chong.
well, we go from 35,000-year-old Veda, wisdom, Vedic wisdom to Cheech and Chong, man. And you know what?
What's up?
You reminded me of something I should have made an episode about by now. Maybe I'll get to it at some point, called Seeing the Sacred in the Mundane. Because the mundane is sacred. We have to realize that we like to, the duality of things that we are so used to. Well, this is that, and this is that, and this is over there, and this is over there, but there's no connection.
All of it is meant to be.
Yeah, but it's all connected. And we say, well, this is sacred, and that is mundane. That's everyday, normal, whatever, pablum. But this is extra special, different. It reminds me of the Indian guru whose name I can't remember right now, and it's not uncommon. But he went to Mecca to experience, the pilgrimage back to the Kaaba and everything else. And he wasn't Muslim, but he was having the experience with them and observing how they did things. And afterwards, he was a little tired. He sat down, stretched his legs out, and he's sitting on a blanket or something. And some people came over to him. And they said, "No, no, no, you can't sit like that. Your feet are pointing towards towards the Kaaba. That's sacred. God is there. Allah is there. You can't point your feet that way." And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can you show me the direction to point my feet where God is not?" So it's that kind of thing. But we like to make these divisions and these, boundaries and stuff. But the mundane, we get into sort of a zombie sleepwalking state when we lose connectivity. We're kind of like a wire that got kind of pulled a little bit out of the computer, and suddenly there's no Wi-Fi connection there anymore because we got kind of, your kittens pulled it out or something like, I can relate to that. And so when we lose connectivity, when we lose connection, and we get lulled into distraction and forgetfulness, that's when we wallow in blah, forgetting that not only everything around us, and especially everyone around us, is entirely, perpetually sacred, but so are we. And they're reflecting us just as much as we're reflecting it in them.
It's interesting. Let me think about this. Yeah.
A little bit of wordsmithing happening here. Wordsmithing happening.
Always. Yeah. But it was just a thought that, sacred by itself means separated or separated for a holy purpose.
Think of sacred as its holiness is recognized. That's what it means to me.
Okay.
Holiness is recognized.
Yeah. Well, and when I said that, I was thinking, I do believe, while I don't ascribe to pantheism saying that the divine is in inanimate objects or everything, I do believe that all life, yes, is imbued with the divine, and it's the fact of seeing it, and that's why I hold life with value.
Well, what we see in others and other things too is a recognition of a reflection. So when we recognize what is reflected, it is then that we are truly seeing. And I did an episode where I talked about, I took a picture of a little girl that stunned me speechless how divine she was when I saw her. And I asked her grandmother, would I be able to take a picture of her? And the grandmother said, sure. And I was mesmerized at what I was seeing in her eyes. And I took this picture, and it wasn't until a couple of years later that I loved it so much. I said, it's my favorite picture I've ever taken, out of over 70,000, by the way. And I blew it up into a big print. And then I could see, I remember telling people, this girl mesmerized me. When I looked into her eyes, I saw God. I said, that little girl, that's God.
Yeah.
When I looked in her eyes, I saw God. I remember myself saying that. And then when I blew up this huge print, I was able to see her eyes much more clearly because they were much larger than the image on my computer.
Right.
And I looked into her eyes, and do you know what I saw?
You saw yourself.
I saw me. Literally me, reflected in her pupils. And I said, oh my God. And like a hall of mirrors of divinity recognizing divinity in divinity went boom, and my head just exploded. And I'll tell you the truth, I burst into sobbing at the realization. Yeah, I'm still there. Sorry.
No, don't apologize for it. Yeah, no.
Just when, when something that had been unconscious to you rises up or is compelled to rise up, such as that experience I had, and you get to see that what you had revered her for and what you had considered her divine for, she was showing you in you.
You're showing yourself. Yeah.
It was divinity recognizing itself in divinity as divinity. And it was the most beautiful thing ever.
Two things I'm going to give you: divinity in our greetings, and the definition, or not definition, the etymology of respect. Spect meaning to see, re meaning again. And it's when you respected her, you looked at her again to understand. You saw a new understanding of you.
Yeah, I use the word revere, but yes, respect. There it is, same thing.
And it says, what's in the meaning of our greetings between our coming and leavings? Is it the divine in me recognizing itself in you? Or is it more true the divine is in you seeing itself in me? Whichever truth you choose of the two meanings, divine is always ever present, self-awareness residing in the flowing fullness of both our beings.
There is the divine flow of the divine conclusion of our divine conversation on a divine topic from a divine work, which is divinely birthed through you, for which you have had the divine honor and gift of birthing to all who will receive it, possibly even both of my viewers. And I would like to thank you with the fullness of my heart, Marcus, for everything that you have shared through and of yourself as a gift to everyone who will receive it. Thank you, brother. I greatly, greatly honor you, and I greatly value what you offer to those who will see it.
Thank you for the invitation. Answering the call bit by bit. Thank you. Thank you for being and holding space for this. Thank you, Brian.
As my guest Peter Panagore said, I work for the master.
Yes.
One of my viewers told me that when he just said it in passing as the last comment before the episode ended, the conversation ended. He said, I work for the master. And one of my viewers confided in me that he absolutely burst into tears when he heard that. And I think that it's fair and valid and righteous for you to pick up that phrase that you work for the master. You are doing the divine work, and I honor you for it. And I know many others will too. Marcus, where do we find, you said you have the only hard copy. So this book it exists as a concept, but it has to exist as a a chunk of paper. So where will people find this book once it is available for them to get?
Oh, it'll be on Amazon for sure, for sure. I'm working on that this weekend, today and tomorrow, for print on demand.
Okay.
If you go to marcushiggs.com, Inspire Life, it will be you'll find it there, and that will be the digital copy. And I will put a link to the hard copy so that you might hold it. You might take it to the bathroom if you want to have some good reading.
Well, in case, we ever get hit with an EMP or some other wild stuff like that, you'll still have.
Hey, put the word in your heart, man.
Yeah,
the word is already with you. The word is love. Spread the word.
There you go. There you go. All right. Naturally, to both of my viewers, I will put the links in the description, and we encourage and welcome you to obtain a copy for yourself and perhaps another kindred who would light up from having that. And thank you again, Marcus, for lighting us up with your divine gifts. Thank you, brother.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.